You know what? And that's something I appreciate right now about John Carpenter in his days is that he's just like
I don't
laid
give a
back,
fuck.
playing video games, making music, and just wearing slacks and not giving a
Dude, he's
shit.
the most cantankerous dude ever. And like he is the true like working man director. He's like, oh, you want to make another Halloween? Where's my check?
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's all he gives a shit about. And it's kind of, but I actually kind of respect his position where they're just like, they tried to get him back for Halloween H2O. I don't know if you knew that. We actually, when the movie was first greenlit, he was on as the director, and then he was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. I gotta go make Ghosts of Mars. I don't get time
Yeah.
for this.
I got
Actually,
this
we probably would have been right around this time. What Vampires came out? Probably in that
uh,
ballpark.
yeah, around there at that point. Yeah. Yeah, I saw you tweeted something about the ward recently, and I'm like, I have no interest of going back to that because
It's a because we talked about earlier about people going out on things and it feels
yeah,
incomplete. John Carpenter is not technically the last thing he directed, but it's the last feature film because he did a couple of those Masters of Horror
yeah, yeah,
things. He did Cigarette Burns and Pro Life. I think they're the names of his shorts or his extended shorts. Um, but the ward to go out on the ward is such a bummer because it's such like a stereotypical blase like ghost story movie that takes place in a mental institution. Amber Heard is awful in the movie.
yeah.
It's just not. I've always been bummed that that was the one he went out on. In the same way that I was always bummed that George Romero went out on Survival of the Dead.
Yeah, yeah. Or even like Wes Craven with as much as I have like softened a little bit to Scream 4 after seeing Scream 5 recently, like with Wes Craven like going off on with that being
Yeah,
his last.
no, well, Scream 4 is better than it has any right to be.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and it actually feels like a Scream movie. Like, it actually feels like part of that series. Where Scream 5 was basically a remake of Scream 4, but grim dark, like
Yes,
too
yes.
like serious, too serious. All that shit with Dewey. Like, I was just, what the fuck, man?
What
Like,
is
this is
yeah.
so stupid. Like Scream does not need, and then it's just like the screed against Twitter trolls. Like that's essentially what it ends up being. Like, oh, they bullied Ryan Johnson. They literally used the name Ryan Johnson. It's fucking insane.
Yeah. Oh,
The
they drop
fans, you can't please them. We're the fans.
they drop like A24 elevated horror. I'm like, don't
Well,
do
because
this.
because
Yeah.
they think those are the hot hip new references, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Uh,
It's just not. It's not. It wasn't fun, and that was the problem with it. Like it took
yeah,
itself
yeah.
way too fucking seriously. Whereas those other movies, they take themselves seriously, but they're tongue in cheek. They're a little silly,
Yeah.
you know.
And like a testament to some of those directors too, like especially like Wes Craven, and even I'll give John Carpenter credit for The Ward. Like they shot on film in a
No,
time
they
where
did.
it was
Yeah.
unpopular to do that. Like they
Yes.
still stuck to their old school guns to some extent.
Yeah.
But they're old. They're older and just kind of lost their way a little bit. So
Oh man, I want Carpenter to do one more. Just give me one more,
I
dude.
know.
Like he's got one. He has one more in him. Come
Yeah.
on.
If he's
I
got
it,
this,
it terrifies me a little bit, but at the same time, like I want to see it.
I want to see the energy he has to play Crash Bandicoot 4 towards just one more. It
One
could be a
more.
short. It could be a featurette. It could be a short film,
Yeah.
but just something that's like him. Uh,
I mean, going out on Ghost of Mars and then The Ward. And like I've tried. I know this is way off topic, but I've tried so hard to like Ghost of Mars.
mm,
Every couple of years I force feed it. I force myself to watch it. And then I watch it with the commentary. It just doesn't make it any better. It just never gets better. Never gets better. And honestly, all John Carpenter's fault. And it really breaks your heart hearing him rationalize and talk through it on the commentary. Just it's such a bummer. I mean,
I
John Carpenter, like for you people that don't know, the Fleapit After Dark audience is like a very major filmmaker in my youth and like growing up and just as a person. My all-time favorite movie is John Carpenter's The Thing. Like
w-
for many reasons, both because it actually is as good as people say it is, but I grew up with it. It was my dad's favorite movie. I have lots of connections to that movie. I've been watching it since I was 5.
yeah,
It's my chicken soup. Like when I'm depressed or sad or whatever, I'll just pop on The Thing in the background and just kind of melt into the couch and watch it. It's very special to me. He's a very special director to me.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
just fucking have it. Just goddamn Ghost of Mars, and then The Ward. Oh, The Ward is so awful. It's such a bad movie. I mean, well, it's actually, I take it back. It's not. It's better than Ghost of Mars. It's more competent than Ghost of Mars, but it's so blasé. It's just so boring.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I heard this news recently that I caught your Day of the Dead review with Dan Prof. I had that great discussion.
Oh, thank you. It's a little too
Love
long. We actually have the same discussion twice. I
nice.
noticed while editing it.
Yeah. Yeah, little tinkering had to be done, of course, but yeah, I was like, "Oh shit, they're gonna talk about The Thing because this is my favorite movie as far as I can tell back too." But I'm not gonna impede and jump in. Maybe we'll have a separate conversation
Oh no, we
about The
can
Thing
do.
in a
Yeah,
future.
dude, of course.
Yeah,
Well, I'm just very hard on. I have a hard on for him, that Dan
yeah,
Prophet specifically watching it,
yeah,
because
yeah,
I think that's like, how is that not one of your favorite movies relative to all the things that we both like enjoy? But
yeah.
I don't know. We'll work something. We'll work something out.
Oh, I've got a friend like he is hardcore into Ridley Scott's Alien, and I'm The Thing, so like we're kind of on different ends. Not that I love Alien, I think it's
Yeah,
great,
of course. Yeah,
but like in terms of just the sci-fi horror material and what even just as a film, just like what like seeing it at a young age at the age of 10, like my mom got me really into The Thing.
yeah.
Uh it changed me. Like it's like I got to do this for a living.
No,
Like
so
yeah,
one of the things, like, I became a film fan. Like
yeah, yeah,
I really started my love of movies because of The Thing, and probably because of The Thing and like Army of Darkness. Oddly enough,
yeah, yeah,
those are the things that made me. I was Army of Darkness and Evil Dead because it made me feel like I could do that.
sure.
Like, it seemed attainable, and when I got older and learned about how they made that movie, like, oh cool, like you can get together with your friends and like make movies. That's awesome. And with The Thing, it was like, that's like the thing on the mountain. Like, that's like what I aspired to as like a filmmaker, as a young man. Like, when I wanted to make movies, was to even dream, because that's like just a movie where all the planets align. Everything is perfect. It's perfectly paced. There's not a wasted second in that movie. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the closest thing I have in my mind to a perfect movie.
Yeah. And all the better that it came out in the time that it did when nobody wanted that at the time, but it took its time to really reach a broader audience. Like nobody today I know says it's a bad movie. Like critics were in 1982, you know.
Well, because
Uh,
they had like different priorities that opened against ET.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it was just the zeitgeist wasn't there for this kind of, basically a dystopian. It's like it's a prequel to a dystopian future movie, essentially. It's very dark. It's very dour,
yeah.
and but it always kind of bummed me out. It broke my heart a little bit. Like, Carpenter doesn't even like really talking about it, because
Yeah, that's the thing.
feels so like, it kind of, The Thing bombing is one of the reasons that his career never became what he wanted it to.
Mhm.
Uh, between because it was like The Thing, and then he does Big Trouble in Little China, and those movies did not do very well, and they derailed his career as a studio director. Which, watch, this might surprise people, but he actually kind of wanted to be a studio director. He wanted the access to what a studio offers you. And because some of his favorite directors were studio directors,
John Ford, yeah.
John
Yeah.
Ford, Howard Hawks.
Yep.
Yeah. So, this is a discussion for another time, but we will definitely circle back. We should do like it'd be cool. Maybe you and I could do like a Carpenter like retrospective or something, to like pick like 5 Carpenter movies and just kind of walk through them. It'd be fun.
I'd be so down. I saw like Red Letter Media months back did like their
Their
break
rankings.
their rankings, and
Yeah.
I almost wanted to do something kind of like that, but then it's like, I jump around too much. I feel like I'd have to like really dissect each movie individually, and
Yeah, that's why you got to like pick a few, like maybe from an era, or break
yeah,
it up.
yeah,
We could do it like over a couple years, and you like
true,
take like, because I think, like, most directors, they kind of work in kind of groupings where they were kind of feeling one particular kind of vibe at a time, and there's like there's a continuity and consistency in style and aesthetic and actors usually.
yeah,
And Carpenter's definitely like that.
yeah. Because the last Carpenter movie I watched was Starman, because I hadn't seen it for many years, and holds up. It's really fun.
Oh,
It's really
Starman's
good.
great. It's a great
Yeah.
studio. It's a great studio movie.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
it's a great, and he can do that. Like, that's kind of, he wanted to be able to flex a little bit, like do
Yes.
some
Yeah.
other stuff, and he kind of never got the chance because of a few high profile bombs. One of them
Mhm.
being The Thing.
Yep.
This
Yep.
is a bummer. This is a bummer.
We'll get around to that for sure. I would be totally down, and this will probably just be a what have I been calling them lately? The Fleapit bonus material.
Bonus
I'll
material here,
separate
yeah.
this clip.
This
Yeah.
talking
um.
about Waterworld, and somehow we ended up talking about John Carpenter.
Yeah.